Life as You Own It with Mark McDougall and Craig Miller.
Remember, you got questions, we've got answers. You may not take the time to educate yourself about the single largest investment and opportunity you have, that investment in the roof over your head in real estate.
We talk about your home, financing, making investments in real estate. We give you the facts, folks.
You know, it's just good old-fashioned horse sense that we like to talk about. And we also throw in some other horse stuff, too, just for fun.
All right, Craig, so we're talking about becoming a landlord by design, not by default. What's the number one? What's the one of the biggest ones that people miss out on?
No doubt about it. Biggest one is typically underestimating the costs associated with carrying that property.
Yep, just like on your primary residence.
Sure.
We always consider what, Craig? What's the natural thing people consider?
Best case scenario. I mean,
yeah, but also what in payment wise, they look at their mortgage payment.
They look at the payment.
The
They look at
PITI.
principal, interest, taxes, insurance. They're like, okay, that's about it.
I can afford it.
Yep, they might factor in they're going to buy a lawnmower and maybe occasionally fix this or that, but it's rare that they really sit down and do the math.
The pieces that you're missing out on are going to be the maintenance of the house, garbage, gardening, landscaping, all of the
Regular
upkeep,
maintenance repairs.
You got it, folks, and that can be a significant chunk. What we recommend is that you add 30 to 40%. Add 30 to 40% of what that annual cost may be, say your mortgage cost. And again, this assumes that you've got a mortgage that is in a certain equity position in your home. Don't want to make it too technical, but figure 30 to 40%, we'll say, of your rent that you're receiving. Add on to that as an expense associated with upkeep and maintenance.
That's right. And you know, you want to base your what you believe you're going to bring in on an annual basis for income on a 10 or 11 months worth of rent instead of a full 12 months worth of rent. Why? Because if you do have someone vacate, you're probably going to have about a 30-day downtime, maybe even longer, where you don't have a tenant in there. So on an annual basis, figure about you're going to collect 10 to 11 months. Anything on top of
if you're a first-time landlord,
yeah.
Trust me, if you're a first-time landlord, 11 months, no, you're not. I mean, at 11 months you can't. That's if you've done this a long time, you've got a bunch of properties, but assume I recommend assuming it at 9 months. If you've already got a lease on it, assume it at 10. That way, you'd rather be a little bit shy than to be short on your planning, because those are real dollars.
That's right.
If you get $1,000 a month rent, don't assume right away when you go, oh, I make $12,000 a year. No, you make $10,000 a year on average, because the vacancy is going to be approximately 45 to 60 days. All right, next one, Craig.
All right, so the next one.
Breaking the law.
Skimping.
No, breaking the law.
That's right,
Tenant
breaking
landlord laws vary
order.
from state to state and even city to city. For example, in some areas you can require a month-to-month tenant to move out within 15 days, while in others you must give them 60 days notice. Folks, just make sure you understand the rules associated with becoming a landlord in your municipality, because heaven forbid you think you made a little bit of money, then you give it all back because you kick out some bum tenant that may not be paying your rent, and they're 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 months behind, but you didn't give proper notice. So just be careful there, because the legal fees associated with it, you'll give it back quickly. All right, Craig, what else?
Number 3, here's where I was about to go. Skimping on vetting prospective clients. So, if you're looking for a good renter, it's not enough to just trust your instincts or even go on a referral from a friend or some type of recommendation. You've got to do some due diligence here. So, Mark, what's your
Run their
advice
credit. Do a background check. There are plenty of services online where you can get this information. One of them is there's erenter.com or mysmartmove.com. But make sure that you do the background research before you get them in there. Check that they're employed. Do an employment verification. Their service you can pay probably up to $50, around $50, and you can get most of this done. Don't skimp on it, folks. Don't go on a gut instinct.
You got it. Anymore, there's enough services out there that you can subscribe to. If you're going to have enough properties, if you're going to be moving tenants in and out frequently enough, it may save you money to have a monthly subscription to some of these background check services anymore, because of the information that's available through the internet. It's kind of a business that's kind of grown a little. You see more and more offers for check people's background type stuff. I think I saw one the other day that was $9.95 a month, and you could run, I think it was 10 or 20 background checks a month or something. So it may make sense for you to subscribe to a service that provides this type of stuff. You're going to want to know. Of course, some of your renters aren't going to have excellent credit, but you're going to want to know a good reason why they may be, having some rough stuff in the past. But if they've got a background check come back with some, maybe they were having a meth lab in the last house they were in, you might not want them in your house. So
Right,
that
unless you're
stuff
going to
out.
split the profits.
Right, unless you're like, hey,
Come out, get a contract.
share
on
some
those.
of your product.
Just
with
kidding. We wouldn't endorse that, and we don't endorse that. All right, number 4 is ignoring renters' insurance policies. So make sure that you not only that you understand that the policy you have on that dwelling covers it in a rental situation, because it's different than if it's your primary residence. It's going to cost you more. So make sure you change your policy so that it's a renter's policy, and make sure your tenant require them to have renter's insurance. That protects you in the event something happens in the property, removes your liability. So make sure you've got the insurance piece of it covered. Don't skimp on this, folks. They must have renter's insurance. You must make sure your policy covers you. Number 5, Craig.
failing to check out the property regularly, folks. If you don't make those visits, occasionally popping in and making sure things are being kept up and maintained per agreement, and also, of course, not being blatantly abused per agreement, you're going to be in trouble later on down the road.
Swing by, folks. You've got it in the lease. You should have in your lease the provision by which you can come by and inspect the property as the landlord. Make sure that you do so. And then number 6 is going to be the thing I just mentioned, is make sure you've got your lease. You take your time, understand what it says, have it a well-written, well-thought-out lease that protects you. So make sure, don't skimp on the lease part of it. Get the lease in place, get it signed before you let them move in, get your security deposit, and you will be good to go on that end. All right, folks.